Hello folks, looks like we're live. I'm going to double check the sound here. It's on a little bit of a delay, so we'll just make sure that everything's running. If anybody's over on YouTube,
now.
Great, that's working. If anybody's over on YouTube in the chat, feel free to say hello and let us know where you're watching from. We are going to play some songs for the next hour. We're going to use the beginner songbook that I've put together. And as I said the last time we did this, some of those songs may not look like beginner songs as you first look at the arrangement, but we're going to approach each of them from a beginner angle. So whether or not there are extra strumming and picking patterns that are listed on the page, that's totally fine for you to try out whatever level you're at, but I'm going to be giving instruction for each song from a beginner angle, how you could approach this if you're playing this on your own or in a big group, and then we will play it together. And after the play along, I will go back into the video on YouTube and put in some timestamps so that if there are songs you want to revisit and you want to practice later or slow me down and play them slower, you can certainly do that on YouTube as well. So I want to encourage people to share the requests that you have that you might want to play, whether we've played them before or not. And I'm going to have us play hopefully a few that we haven't played yet, as well as where we can revisit any of the ones people have that are particular favorites. And I'm going to share the chords on the screen so you don't have to have them in front of you, although if you do have them in front of you or if they're too small on your device to see well, you can have them downloaded pretty easily from my website or from Patreon as well. So let me go ahead and share them on the screen now, and folks can let me know. I think I know what we're going to start off with, because I wanted to do one we haven't played yet, and I wanted to do one that looks a little bit more or sounds a little bit more advanced when we play it in the mixed level group, which we do on the second and third Tuesday of each month. And everyone is welcome there as well. On the mixed level group, we often play things at a slightly more intermediate pace, although I always try to give people suggestions for beginners if beginners are playing along. And I thought it might be fun to play one of my original songs that was requested that I put into the mixed level songbook. And it has very simple chords, so I thought I would teach it as well from a beginner angle here tonight. So let's open up with that one. Since it has easy chords, it'll be a good one to start with. And it's called Burn It Down. And I don't remember who requested this one, but hopefully they'll get a chance to look at this video if they're not here over watching on YouTube already. And oops, I'm on the wrong page. So Burn It Down is a song that can be played pretty simply, or it can be played with more advanced strums. So we're going to talk about how to do it very simply. If you look here at the chords, they're mostly very straightforward. F, C, G, and A minor are often the first four chords people learn. And then there's an F/C. And these slash chords you will see sometimes are really a holdover from guitar. And when you see a slash chord, it really means for a guitar player that they would want you to play the chord that comes before the slash, and then they would want you to have the note after the slash in the bass on your bass string. So it would be, for this example, the F/C, or below it there's a C/A minor, would really mean a guitar player plays the F chord, but there's a C as their low note. Now when you're on ukulele, sometimes that works, but because we have re-entrant tuning, sometimes we aren't able to play chords the same way that guitar players can play them with all the same notes. Obviously, they also have 6 strings, and we usually are only working with 4. So when you see a slash chord and you don't know what the fingering is supposed to be for that chord, you can usually ignore everything after the slash and just play what comes before the slash. So for this song, you can do that, and in most songs you can do that. You can just play the F where you see F/C, and you can just play the C where you see C/A minor. Now here I also have written out the shape of what that would look like if you did play this. Basically, it's not exactly the same as the slash chord, because for example, on your F/C, the C is actually the highest note. So it's not like a guitar player would hear it. But you can play that chord if you want to try a new shape, or if you're not feeling like you want to try a new shape, or the song's moving too quickly, just play what comes before the slash and you will be fine. So in this song, I'm going to play it that way, just with the chord that comes before the slash. I'm not going to play the extra note, but if you feel up to it, you're certainly welcome to. Now, the suggested strum for this is actually not a terribly difficult strum, but it can be a little tricky for beginners. It's what Cynthia Lynn calls the rock strum, and it basically has 4 down strums on the beats And then there's an up strum at the very end on the and of 4, let's say. So if I'm on the F chord, I'm going to be going 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. And this just gives like a little bit of that kind of like driving rock sound, which is why she calls it the rock strum. There are more complicated versions of this song. That's the simplest. Now, if you're a beginner and you're playing along through the song and that up strum is throwing you off, you could just play 4 downs. And especially if you hit, a lot of times for rock songs, we would be hitting beat 1 and beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. That's going to be fine, especially if you're playing in a group, but even if you're not, you're going to be able to get that kind of beat going in there just fine. I'm going to go ahead and play the down, 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 up. But if you miss an up, don't worry about it. Now, if that's beyond you and you want to play an even simpler strum, you can single strum anything. And that's often what will be recommended to people who are just starting out. If you need a little more time to get to your next chord, just play a single down strum or play 2 and skip every other one in what I'm doing. So instead of doing on the F again, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you could just do 1, wait, 3, wait, 1, wait, 3. So that would work as well. Now in this particular song, it is a little more complicated when people are playing at a more intermediate level. So I'm going to suggest that when we get to the bridge where it says in the middle of page here 3 down strums each chord, that's a little hard to time out. And actually I want to look back at this chord sheet because I think that might be a typo and I think I meant 2 down strums. We're just going to play 1 down strum per chord for that just to simplify it. So when we get to that part, we will just play the F, am, star, shooting, right? So that we'll just do single strums on anyway. Other than that, we're going to do the same thing on the chorus too, because you will find if you're playing this in our mixed level group that the chorus where it says what if we move too fast, that also moves at a slightly different rhythm than the verse. So we will also do that one just with single down strums as well. And we'll see how that sounds. The rest of it, let's give the rock strum a try. So on the verses, we'll give the rock strum a try. And then other than that, we'll do single down strums. And I'll talk you through it as we're going through it. So let's give it a try here. Let's see. We won't go too fast. The song kind of bounces along at a quicker pace, but we won't go as fast as it would normally go. Let's do it about that. I'm on the A minor just trying it out for the verse, but let's go back to the intro, which is up at the top there, where it says F, C, G, C. So we'll do one pattern of the rock strum or whatever you're doing per each of those chords. So let's give it a try here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and C, G, and C. Now second line, just do F unless you want to try that extra note. Strum, not holding back, we are ours to name. 4 and 1, you're checking in, but I feel the same. I told you once, I don't care if it hurts. You drank me up like you were made of thirst. You drank me up like before we start? What if we want too much? What if we break our hearts? Single strums here too. I am a star shooting right through the sky. To you we're colliding, bright smiles and eyes true. Back to the verse. You touch my hair and your hands a crown. Our love's a pool and I want to drown. You told me once I was passionate. You made it sound like it was a threat. You made it sound like it was a threat. I want to move too fast. I want to burn it down. I hope our racing speed means our feet leave the ground. Let's try to flame so bright we're ash before we start. And if we want too much, we'll take the broken hearts. We'll take the broken hearts. We might just break our hearts. We'll take the broken hearts. Come on and break my heart. All right. Any questions on that one? I see Andre saying hi over in the chat on YouTube. Thanks for joining us from Germany. Oh, good. And saying the sound is going well through YouTube. Nice to hear. All right, let's look at the table of contents and we'll take a request next. Anything in here folks would like to work on? Let's see if I can make that a little smaller so that it all fits. There we go. Feel free to unmute yourself if you're on Zoom, or Andre, you can write it in the chat if you've got an idea over on YouTube. I can also pick something if people want a little more time to think. Oh, thank you, Andre. Go ahead.
I was going to say, how about the times they are a-changin?
Great one. Let's do that one. All right. So times they are a-changin' has a different strum on it that I've suggested, and I don't think it's terribly difficult, so we'll give this a try. A lot of times, you know, all you have to determine is whether you've got kind of like 3 pulses or 4 pulses to a song, or, you know, 3 beats versus 4 beats as you're playing each chord. And then you'll have a lot of different chords you can, or strum patterns you can choose from depending on what you know and what you feel you do well. For this one, come 1, 2, 3, people, you 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You've got kind of like a 3 beat going on. So the strum that I've suggested here is what's written up there at the top, and I'm on the C chord here. Down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And I think that's a nice approachable 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for beginners as well. But if that wasn't feeling good for you, you could also simplify it even more and do down, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Now, looking at the chords, there is a C suspended chord that I have suggested that people who feel up to it can try adding at the end of the verse. For a beginner approaching this, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you do that unless you feel comfortable trying it. Of course, then go ahead and try it. There's no harm done if you don't play it correctly, but basically that's going to be a more advanced thing that some people will feel comfortable doing and some won't. What I'm talking about there is just at the end of each verse for the times they are a-changin', and then you see, and then people would just add in that C suspended just by adding your index finger on the first fret of the E string, and then go right back to the C. So the suspended chord kind of hangs in the air for a second and then resolves back to the regular C. So it would sound like this up to tempo. Times they are a-changin'. So it just has that little C suspended moment in there. Of course, you should should feel free to try that out, but you don't need to feel pressured to do it. And then the other thing that's a little trickier about this song is that it has a moving line. The second to last line of each verse, I'm suggesting that people play a series of G chords that change the tone each time, so that you start out with the G and then go to G7 and then G6, which just requires picking up a finger, and then back to G. And if that moved too quickly for someone, you could get away with playing G the whole way through. So as written, it would sound like this. Then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. And if you played G the whole time, you could do this. Then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone. And it works fine with the line that you're singing either way. So feel free to challenge yourself with that or not, as you wish. Otherwise, the chords are pretty straightforward, and the verse is the same every time, and there's no chorus or bridge or anything, so this one's really a nice straightforward song to do. So let's give it a shot here. And we'll start with 4 rounds of whatever strum pattern you're doing, and I'm going to do the one that's written here, down, down, up, down, up. So let's see, let's try it. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and... Great suggestion there. Christina popped into the chat while we were playing. Anybody have questions on that one? Everyone okay? All right, I see a request from Andre that we look at Me and Julio, which is a great one to look at from the beginner standpoint because this one has some more complicated parts, but I really want people who maybe feel like not the whole thing isn't working for them would still be able to play through it. And some of you may actually be already at the point where this song works just fine, but let's look at it together. So this is a Cynthia Lynn arrangement that I really like. It's maybe a little bit more at the advanced beginner level only because of the intro which she's put in to make it sound a little bit more like the original. So there's a little bit of and also because there's a few places where she's splitting the island strum. So the island strum is that strum that a lot of people learn as their first strum, the down, down, up, down, up. And she mostly uses that in this song, and that's familiar to a lot of people. Of course, again, you can just play single strums or another simpler strum if that works better for you. For this, she's also thrown in an intro that I'm going to say we could just play single strums on if the rhythm is eluding you. The way that it would sound if you're playing it at tempo and as written is like this. Goes 4 times, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up. And I know that that's going to be a little bit too fast chord switching and the rhythm is a little bit confusing. So the way you can make this more accessible, if it is that way for you, is just to hit the chords. So even if you're in a group and everyone else is playing the whole thing, you could go G, C, G, D. And there the trickiest thing is hitting that G at the right point, but you could even count it 1 and a 2 and 3. But if you need to go down instead of up on the G, that's not going to matter so much. So if you can't switch on the up chord there yet, don't worry about it. Just hit them all on downs. And let's do it a little slower if you want to play along. Down, down, up, down, down. You can do that down, up, down, up, down, down, up, G, C, and G, up, down, up, D. So you could easily play that part. That's going to come up again at the end of the chorus. And again, I'm going to play it with you just as on single strums. If you want to play the whole thing, you're more than welcome to. But that'll give people who are watching this later too, who are at a more beginner level, an approachable way to work on this. Other than that, the other kind of tricky thing we have here is the split island strum. And there's only a few places it happens. Cynthia has marked it with brackets, and most of the time she has a slash after the chord, meaning she just wants you to single strum that anyway. So where you see C and Me and Julio down by the Schoolyard, she really only means for you to hit each of those chords once. If you look at the line just above that where it says Goodbye to Rosie, the Queen of Corona, there's a real split measure there with the C and F, and she has suggested that we play down, down, up for each of the chords inside the bracket. So we would do a regular Goodbye to Rosie, that's a regular island strum, down, down, up, down, up, and then we do down, down, up, down, down, up, before going on to the G. And we're back on the island strum again. And then it can be kind of tricky to switch back and forth between chords. So we'll just take this song like slightly under tempo and you can give that a try. But other than that, the other split measures are very simple because you're just hitting a down strum each time. So let's give this one a try. All right, so we're not going to play the simplified version of the intro just with single down strums on each of those chords, and the rhythm's going to be the trickiest thing. And I think once you get in the groove of the Paul Simon original, it will be easy. So let's just give it a try. Let's see, a little under tempo. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, down, up, C, down, G, up, D. Third time, down, up, C, G, D. Fourth time, C, G, D. And then here we're going to strum island. 1, 2, 3. The mama pajama rolled out of bed and she ran to the police station. When the papa found out, he began to shout and he started the investigation. Single strum, it's against the law. It was against the law. What the mama saw, it was against the law. Second verse, same as the first. we start on the C back at that chorus right above where we just ended. Here's a split measure. Split measure. G, down, up, C, down, G, up, down, up, D. G and a C and G and a D. Whoa, in a couple of days they come take me away, but the press let the story leak. Now when the radical priests come to get me released, we was all on the cover of Newsweek. Back up to the chorus while I'm on my way. I don't know where I'm going, I'm on my way. I'm taking my time, but I don't know where. Goodbye to Rosie, the queen of Corona. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. Do 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 do. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. G and a C and G and a D. Seeing me and Julio down by the schoolyard. All right, how did that feel? Okay? I'm seeing some smiles on my Zoom people, so that makes me happy that nobody got up and ran out of the screen while we were playing through that song, which makes me really glad. All right, let's look back at the table of contents again and pick another one out. What do we think here? What would be a good one? Another one we can look at. What about, let's look at, I don't know if we did this one last time. I don't think we did yet. I don't think we've done this one yet at all. Let's look at California Stars, because it's another one with simple chords that looks more complicated on the page but can be simplified pretty easily. And we've played this one in the mixed level jam a couple of times. So if you've joined me for those Tuesday jams, you might have heard us play this one already. The reason that I like to talk about this one with beginners is because it has these sort of complicated looking suspended chords again, like we saw in the times they are changed, and we saw that C sus4 at the same chord. But this song adds a G suspended chord and an F suspended chord, and actually that F suspended chord is one of the more complicated suspended chords that I ever play. It's not terribly hard, but it's just a little harder to switch to. The nice thing about suspended chords is you can usually skip them. So when you see them in a song, you can usually get away with playing the non-suspended chords, so the C or the G or the F in this case, instead of suspended. Of course, if you want to try those shapes, go ahead and do it. And especially when you're on Zoom or on YouTube and you're playing along at home and no one can even hear you, you shouldn't feel worried about making a wrong note. Not that I'm saying you should be when you're in a big jam group in person either, but this is the kind of song where you can practice these or you can just skip them and it will work just fine. Because the way the intro works in the original, and I've kind of tried to replicate what Wilco's band does here with these Woody Guthrie lyrics that they turned into a song, is that they do this down, 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 up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And they do that on each chord, both as an intro and also as an instrumental interlude. I didn't play the suspended. And while they do these instrumental verses in the song, some of the other members of their band take solos and things like that, and that's how they get some of the interesting color in the song. But we can just skip those and just do, say down, 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 up, down. Let's see what would be a good chord, a good strum to do instead. We can kind of do an extended island strum there, which I think is an interesting idea. If we did down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. We can kind of add that up, down, up at the end of the island strum to go all the way through there, and it's going to sound great even if we don't change the chords. If that feels rhythmically like beyond your ken, we can also do... yeah, we could do a rock strum there like we did in the song earlier. 2, 3, down, up, 1, 2, 3, down. Maybe that's a good thing to do. Let's try that, because I think that's a nice steady rhythm that we can do throughout the whole song. And then on the instrumental parts there. And then when we get to the verse strum, I've suggested a down, up, chuck, up, down, up, chuck, up. And I know a lot of beginners are working on their chuck, so I don't actually think that's a terribly difficult strum to work with. If you're not able to chuck and you're not working on your chuck right now, then just do down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Same exact rhythm, it's just without the chuck. So let's do that. Let's do the rock strum on the intro and the instrumental, which will be the same as the intro, each time. We're just going to play this song through once though. If you see at the bottom of the page, it says, and this is how they do it in the original, the first time through you end with that intro again, and then you repeat the whole song. They sing the same exact verses again from the beginning. In the interest of being able to play other songs, we'll just skip to the second time through instructions, which says to play the instrumental 1.5 times and then end with those final 2 lines. And 1.5 times just means we play through the C line, the G line, the F line, the C line, then we do the C line again, the G line again, and then we drop down and basically finish it with lyrics. So I'll have those at the very end, and then we play, let's just do it through one time. Again, we don't have to make this exactly like the original. We'll just play the intro one more time and end on a single down strum. And I'll talk you through it as we're going, because I don't expect anyone that has to remember all that, but hopefully I do what I just said we were gonna do. All right, so let's start with the rock strum, and let's just get into a good tempo here before we actually really start the song. On the C. 1, 2, here we go. We're just playing the 2 C's. Now you're switching to G. We're not ever going to the suspended unless you want to. If you did, it would be here, sus, sus, back to F, C. I'd like to rest my heavy head tonight on a bed of California stars. I'd like to lay my weary bones tonight on a bed of California stars. I'd love to feel your hand touching mine and tell me why I must keep working on. Yes, I give my life to lay my head tonight on a bed of California stars. Back to rock strum. 3, 4, and C. G. G. Back to F. This next time I'll add the chuck, which I didn't do last time. But you don't have to. Your choice. I'd like to dream my troubles all away on a bed of California stars. Jump up from a star bed and make another day underneath the California stars. They hang like grapes on vines that shine and warm the lover's glass like friendly wine. So I give this world just to dream a dream with you on a bed of California stars. Here we go, rock strum. Oops, I didn't play it, but I said it. G, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and. Remember, at the end of this, we're going to go back and do the first half again. Now here's the C again. We're back on that first line of the instrumental or intro and the G, and then we're going to drop down and do those last 2 lines of lyrics. So I give this world just to dream a dream with you on a bed of California stars. Intro again. We'll just do this one time. All through 4 lines. Here's the G. 1, 2, 3, 4, and F. 1, 2, 3, 4, and C. Single C. All right. Didn't work too badly. Thanks for playing along with me. Let's go back up to the top here and we can get another request if we have one. Any burning requests? If not, I'll just pick another one.
Jenny, could we do Fields of Gold?
Yes, and actually, Terry, you read my mind. That was actually one I was sitting here
Oh,
thinking that would be a nice one to look at. So thank you for suggesting it. All right, Fields of Gold. So when we play this in the mixed level jams, oh, I see something in the chat as well. Sorry, I missed that. Orphan Girl, yes, we'll do Orphan Girl as well. Great idea. Fields of Gold is a Sting song that also Eva Cassidy covered really nicely. It's a great beginner finger picking song because you can play a very simple picking pattern on it. If you preferred to strum this, I think I've written at the bottom, yes, you could do island strum throughout. And in the places where I've bolded the chords, it's because like in me and Julio, there are a couple places where there are split measures that the chords change faster. And for those, I would do the same thing Cynthia suggested for me and Julio, which is just to do a down, down, up for each of those bolded chords. Like the walked in fields of gold. And then I go back to island strum on the non-bolded one. So you can strum your whole way through this one. Let's try it as a beginner finger picking song. And if you want to strum along while I'm finger picking, you're welcome to. If you're finger picking this one, I would suggest that you keep it really simple. So you can ignore those different finger picking patterns that I've suggested at the top. And we could just do the 1, 2, 3, 4, which is for our purposes, not the number of the strings, but your fingers. Thumb is 1, index 2, middle is 3, and obviously ring is 4 then, 1 per string. So G, C, E, A. I'm playing the E minor here because that's in this song a lot. If you want to try one of the other picking patterns, I encourage you to. And they aren't much harder. For the first one that's written up there, you'd be going up and then back down and repeating the G, C, E, A, E, C, E, C. You could do that. You could do the other one that goes G, C, E, A, G, C, or sorry, E, C, G, C. It's hard to say the names of the strings out loud while I'm plucking them. But you can basically do any pattern that fit into those 4 pulses as long as you were holding the right chord. So even if you just let your fingers do whatever they want and you held the chord and then let your fingers wander all around, you just need to be thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and you would be fine. But let's do, if you're wanting to join me on what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the simplest picking pattern, which is just G, C, E, A, G, C, E, A. Most chords will get 2 of those. And then when we have the bolded chords, they'll get 1 each. So again, the walk in fields of gold. Okay, so let's give this one a shot. I know that E minor chord can be a little harder to move to, but when you're moving from G to E minor, which you are in this song a fair amount, you can do a cool trick. I'll stop sharing so you can see me a little bigger. You can do a cool trick Cynthia teaches with her Hallelujah chord tutorial, which is that when your fingers are in the G shape, you can actually add your pinky. And I know everyone's pinky is not super strong, but this is a good way to strengthen it. Just keep your fingers in the G shape. Don't move them at all. Add your pinky to the 4th fret of the C string, and you are now playing an E minor. You don't have to move any of your G fingers. There is one that's now extraneous. It's your index finger. It's no longer doing anything because your pinky is in front of it on the same string. So it kind of cancels it out. But that means that if you were to go back to G, which in Hallelujah you would just have to lift that finger again. So you do not need to play E minor like that, and if it's easier for you to play it sort of the standard way with just 3 fingers, please do that. But if you're going from G to E minor and you want to just put a finger down, you can do the pinky trick and put that pinky on the 4th fret of your C string. So feel free to give that a try if you like. All right, let's go back to this song now. All right, and the other nice thing about this song for a beginner finger picking song is it does not go terribly fast. So let's find a tempo here that feels good. Oops, play an actual E minor. You know, if this was too fast for you to do 2 of these, you could also choose to do them half as slowly. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So feel free to do that if you want to go slower. In fact, maybe I'll do that for half the song and then switch to the faster ones. You can do either one. Okay, I'm going to start on the slower one in case anybody is feeling like they're at that level. That's fine too. Here we go. 1 and, let's see, what was I doing? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There's no intro to this song, so we'll just do this a couple times. And then we'll start singing after this one. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we walk in fields. Sorry, I only do two there. If you're doing the slower picking, I'll get the next stanza right. So she took her love for to gaze a while upon the fields of barley. In his arms she fell as her hair came down among the fields of gold. Will you stay with me? Will you be my love among the fields of barley? We'll forget the sun in his jealous sky as we lie in fields of gold. I'm going to do the faster finger picking on the next verse. See the west wind move like a lover's soul upon the fields of barley. Stay slow if you want. Feel her body rise when you kiss her mouth among the fields of gold. I never made promises lightly, and there have been some that I have broken, but I swear in the days still left, we'll walk in fields of gold. Many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley. See the children run as the sun goes down among the fields of gold. You'll remember me when the west wind moves upon the fields of barley. You can tell the sun in his jealous sky that we walked in fields of gold, that we walked in fields of gold. I'll do the half time for these last two. That we walked in fields of gold, that we walked in fields of gold. All right, so hopefully that gives you some options if you want to practice this one, different ways that you can play it, and simplify it as much as you need to. All right, let's see, what's another good one to do? You know, as we were getting to that song, we passed Edelweiss, and I'm not sure, we might have done that already at a beginner jam, but I think that's such a nice song. It's a nice one to work on. So let's look at Edelweiss, which is another Cynthia Lynn arrangement. It's an older chord sheet of hers. This one works in 6/8 time, which means it has 6 little pulses per. So whether you're doing a strumming or a finger picking, you will usually break out into either 6 or 3. And you'll see here that she has 2 suggestions she's made. And of course, we can do something different if it's not beginner enough. She has suggested that we either strum, what she's written down, pick, down, down. When by pick, she means to pluck the G string with your thumb. So that would be like this. I'm on the G chord right now. Pluck, down, down, pluck, down, down. I think this is a good strum for us because even if you were very beginner, it's a nice thing to practice, plucking that G string. You, of course, could simplify this by doing just down, down, down. But I think it's a good skill to try to throw that pick in if you can. If you miss it, it's not a problem. If you plucked the C string by mistake, it would still be in tune with what you were doing, so don't worry about that too much. you're a little more advanced, you can try that intermediate finger picking pattern out. But I'm going to focus right now just on talking through the other chords, which in this song you do have a barred D7. Sometimes people will ask, can I do the Hawaiian D7, which is the simpler one that you play just with your second fret, your finger on the G second fret and the E second fret, so it looks like 2-0-2-0 when they write that chord down. You can, but it won't sound as pretty with Edelweiss because that high note that you're going to get with the bar is going to sound nicer. If you need a little more pressure on your bar chord, you can throw your middle finger on top of your index as it's barring across the second fret, and then put your ring finger up for the top note of the D7. That often helps me get a little more pressure. And of course you want to have your thumb right behind, so you're kind of pinching your index and your thumb together. Like, you don't have to pinch super hard, it shouldn't really hurt, but we will get a better sound if you're pinching a little bit. So we've got that barred D7 in there. You can also choose to stack your fingers like you would for a G and then add your pinky on top for the D7. You're welcome to play it that way. Otherwise, the chords are pretty straightforward. The E minor 7 is the same shape as the G6 we played earlier. And there's a D minor, and then the C minor is not in every beginner song, but it's very easy to play if you can play that stacked D shape, or you can bar it, meaning you put one finger across just the C, E, A strings and play that as well. That way as well, I mean. So either way, the chords are not too tricky in this song, and I'm going to do that simple pick down down, but if you want to try something else, you of course are welcome to. So let's see here. We'll do that G for the intro more than once just to get kind of into a little groove. I'm going to see, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3. I think that's pretty good for our tempo for this song. Okay, let's sing it here. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, every morning you greet me, small and white, clean and bright, you look happy to meet me, blossom of snow, may you bloom and grow, bloom and grow forever. Edelweiss, Edelweiss, bless my homeland forever. All right. That may have been a little too fast. I'm sorry if it was. We could have taken that one a little bit slower. I realized after I'd started it. All right, now we're going to do Orphan Girl. This one we've worked on a couple of times, which is great. It has, again, not terribly difficult chords. Here it is. Just the G, D, and C in this one. And the thing that I've done since the last time, or 2 times ago when we met, is I've fixed this chord sheet a little bit so that it shows you more accurately where we're doing our down, down ups. Because some chord sheets are going to give you where each chord pattern starts over again, even if it's the same chord. And some chord patterns are just going to give you a G, and then they're not going to tell you until you switch to the next chord. So I've tried to make this one as simplified as possible by putting in each time you have a down, down, up, down, down, up. There's one chord shape. So the G, I am an orphan. The I am an has 2 down, down, ups. I hope that'll make more sense as we're playing it through if you haven't played it through with me yet. There are a few split measures in here. It's just on those bolded Ds at the end lines of these verses. And so on those, we'll just get 1 down, down, up. And then the other thing that happens in this song is that there is a third line that we skip when we play the instrumental verse. And I'm just going off of the original that I listened to when I was making this arrangement. So when we get to where it says instrumental verse, skip third line, I'll call out when we're changing chords, but we're just going to play through the verse again. You can pick any of the verses because they're all the same except that very final one. And we'll just skip that line that says I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother, and go straight from the I have not known them or the If You Go My Way to the G, D, G. And we won't be singing on those obviously, so I'll call out just in case it's hard to keep track of where we are. So again, if you're more advanced, you can try one of those other picking patterns if you like. Let's try out this temp. Yeah. 1 and a 2. Here's the intro. I am an orphan on God's highway, but I'll share my troubles if you go my way. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. I have led friendships pure and golden, but the ties of kinship I have not known them. I have no mother, no father, no sister, no brother. I am an orphan girl. Here we go back to the verse. Then we go to the end line. But when he calls me, I will be able to meet my family at God's table. I'll meet my mother, my father, my sister, my brother. No more an orphan girl. Another instrumental verse. C. An extra C here, and then we'll go to the bottom line. D. Blessed Savior, make me willing and walk beside me until I'm with them. Be my mother, got a request from YouTube from Andre to finish up with Old Town Road, which will be fun. Let's do that. So this is a fun song. It's a recent song just from a couple of years ago. Cynthia Lynn shared this arrangement with her patrons and then eventually with all of YouTube. And we can make this beginner friendly too. So the way that we're going to make this beginner friendly is, again, we're going to use that rock strum that she suggested. And then we're going to try, let's see here. We're going to do just a very slightly simplified version of what Cynthia has suggested for the picking pattern. So what she has suggested there, by saying 1, 3, 4, she means to do your G, C, and A string at the same time, and then to pluck your C. So if you feel up to trying that, you can, but otherwise, I'm just going to suggest that you just play your G string and then your C string. So you can actually just do 1 and 2 and. If you're more advanced, feel free to play what she's written there. But let's just do a simplified 1, 2, 1, 2. And you're going to do, I think it's just 2 of them, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2 through per chord. So the whole sequence. So there's also at the bottom there of the verse that says break down with a knock. That's nice and beginner friendly too, because we're just going to do single hits and then we're going to knock on the body of our ukuleles. So it'll go hat, down, cross town, you're just knocking with your knuckles on whatever is right below where you strum. And if you miss it, don't worry about it. Sometimes I'm using my smaller uk today, and so I might miss it because I think I'm playing my tenor. So don't worry about it. Just find a place that sounds like it's got a little bit of resonance for you and try to hit that there. So let's give it a try again. Feel free to play it as written if you like, but we're just going to end with this one for fun. We're going to go about that tempo. 1 and 2, and here's the intro. Play that again. Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road. I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. Here's where the rock strum comes in. I got the horses in the back, horse neck is attached, hat is matty black, got the boots is black to match, riding on a horse, you can whip your Porsche, driving in the valley, you ain't been up off that porch, now can nobody tell me nothing, you can't tell me nothing, can nobody tell me nothing, you can't tell me nothing, yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road, gonna ride till I can't no more, gonna take my horse to the old town road, I'm gonna ride till I can't no more, hat down, cross town, living like a rock star, spend a lot of money on my brand new guitar, baby's gotta have it, diamond rings and Fendi sports bras, riding down Rodeo in my Maserati sports car, got no stress, I've been through all that, I'm like a Marlboro man, so I can't come back, wish I could roll on back to that old town road, I wanna ride till I can't no more, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road, I'm gonna ride till I can't no more, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road, I'm gonna ride till I can't no more, picking. That's it. Thanks for trying it. Thank you, Andre, for suggesting it. That was fun. All right, so I'm going to end on my live stream over on YouTube. Thank you for joining us very much. I know we had a small group tonight, but anyone who comes, I'm thankful for. So thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next time. And thank you to my folks over on Zoom for joining me here.